Welcome to That 80s Show. Dori, we got to get legal very early on.
Oh dear.
Are
we legal eagles? Are we going to be legal eagles?
We got to get legal very early on. How are you, Dori?
I'm okay. I'm a bit nervous about the legal stuff.
Oh, no. It's not
what
so
did
bad.
We do?
No,
what
it's not our fault. It's not about what we did. It's about what was done to the Cabbage Patch Kids. And I feel that we wouldn't be an award-winning 80s podcast if we didn't address that. Before we get into that, though, because I know people love talking about law. They love talking about it. I just want to say something. Listen, if you listen to That 80s Show, you love That 80s Show, do yourself a favor. Go to Facebook, because we're 80s, we're retro, right? We still keep it on Facebook. Go to Facebook and look for That 80s Show essay, right? It is a vibrant story, a vibrant community of 80s lovers. Everything that you hear on the show gets put on That 80s Show essay. So the video clips we talk about, the articles that we refer to, the funny videos, all of that stuff we put on there. And we also put extra bonus 80s stuff. And you can share stuff with us as well. Just tag us. But That 80s Show essay, because we know not everyone just listens to a podcast, right? You want community. And that's what That 80s Show essay does for you. And of course, the thing podcasters need, it's our lifeblood, is you got to subscribe. You got to subscribe. Get us up in those algorithms. Get us stars. Get people finding us, discovering us. Go to a safe 80s place. All right, so.
Is there such a thing?
Oh, no, actually not. We watch a lot of 80s movies, and you instantly go, ooh, can't do that today. Oh, couldn't do that today. 80s was not a safe place, but here it is. So, Dori, you told me a few weeks ago we bought up Cabbage Patch Kids, the Cabbage Patch dolls.
Yeah.
And you saw one being birthed, right?
Yes.
Okay, you want to just recount that? Maybe people didn't hear it.
Well, I mean, so when I was in the USA, I was with some friends who decided that I needed to see this remarkable event. And we went to the Cabbage Patch doll factory, which was actually great. It was really interesting. I wasn't like the hugest Cabbage Patch fan. I had a doll when I was a kid. Like, I wasn't like gaga over it. But it was a cool experience. And then the one thing that they do for you on the tour is you walk into this room that's got like this artificial cabbage patch, literally, and they do this whole ceremony of a baby being born, and then they like kind of the doll kind of emerges from between these leaves, and it's very funny. It was fun.
My God, what we didn't get up to in the 80s, what we didn't find funny. So that's basically, and Cabbage Patch Kids was a thing. I mean,
so big.
I don't know if it was like this aggressive in South Africa, but you see those videos all the time of in America, Christmas, like parents fighting to get themselves a doll, right? It's just a thing. There's a documentary coming out now talking about the actual drama and crisis behind Cabbage Patch Kids, right? And I want to tell you.
I didn't know there was one.
Oh, Dori, it is scandalous. No, it's boring law stuff, but nowadays, all of our 80s shows, a lot of our 80s memories are now, you see a movie coming out about, Tetris. You see a movie coming about Air Jordan. You go, fuck. You see a movie coming about, what was the other one? There was Tetris, there was Air, there were three about stuff happening in the 80s.
But you've reminded me, I still haven't watched the Tetris movie. I need to do that.
But what it is basically we're watching movies about admin right now. There's the Beanie Babies one. I know the Beanie Babies was in the 90s. But that's what these movies are. Because it's about admin. It's like, we wanted to make a video game. So we went to a meeting. Oh, but things didn't go. So we went to another meeting.
Okay, there is an exception to this rule. The Chip and Dale's movie was not about admin.
Okay, Chip and Dale's wasn't about admin, right? So anyway, coming hot to your screens is another taking a beloved 80s icon and telling the intricate story of the admin behind it. So, okay, Martha Nelson Thomas, right? This is the lady. She was actually the inventor of the Cabbage Patch dolls, or the idea. So, if you go Google the name Xavier Roberts, he's the guy who's now the creator of the Cabbage Patch Kids, right?
Yes, because there was a signature that said Xavier on the doll.
On the bum.
Every doll had every doll had the signature.
That's it, on the backside. So he's the father of Cabbage. He invented them, right? No. So he had a store, and he'd often visit little craft fairs and craft markets in Middle America, Kentucky. And there was a woman called Martha Nelson Thomas who started making, back in the 50s, 60s, and 70s, dolls were hard, right? They weren't like cuddly little soft squeezer doll. They were hard. So
they used to be porcelain, remember?
Yes.
Long, the scary horror ones.
Exactly. Porcelain and possessed. Porcelain and possessed by the ghosts of little children who died in the Great London Fire. Those were dolls.
Oh,
Those were dolls back then. So she started making soft dolls, right? Little soft, I love the little cuddly doll. And she used to sell them at markets. And what she did is she gave a little handwritten note with them, going, "You invited to the family. Martha Nelson, I present to you, and I'm letting you take this child and get a little birth certificate," right?
Oh, the birth certificate was a big part of Cabbage Patch dolls.
That's it. So one fateful day in 1976, she's selling her craft dolls, and she meets Xavier Roberts. And he's like, oh, this is awesome. I want to sell them in your store. Okay. So now he's the charismatic guy. She's very shy little creator. And she says yes. Okay. So she sells a few. Then he stops ordering. So she finds out, she goes, and he's now making his own dolls in his store, right? With the adoption papers and the names. Even so much that he wins an award for toys at a Florida craft show. So he goes, I got something here. He starts mass producing, sends them off to China in the 80s. Key ingredients, got to have my signature on the bum. What that says about you, like, I don't want to speculate. Okay, I mean, Xavier Roberts, I don't know who the man is. There's a picture, he's wearing a cowboy hat. Leave that where you want to.
Yeah, he looks like a country singer.
Country singer. What possesses a man to want to put his signature on the bums of adopted babies? I mean,
it's like a branding.
I don't want to get into that, but that's it's an observation.
Yeah.
And now off it goes, and now they're making money out of this doll, and Cabbage Patch Kids becomes the biggest thing, and he's making millions, and now poor Roberts, she's like, got to get legal aid because she's just a little craftsman in Kentucky to now go fight him. She doesn't have a case because she's just she's a simple person. Did she
not sign any paperwork, nothing?
No paperwork, no patent, no copywriting. He didn't legally do anything wrong.
Oh, no, but he morally did.
As I'm finding out in my personal life right now, the law is not on the side of the innocent, Dori. The law is not on the side of the innocent, let me tell you.
I'm sure that's another story for another time.
That is another story for a very another time. But anyway, that is what happens. So she sues. It becomes a bit of a story. They do fight it. They find a loophole of something that she can settle for. So they kind of like get him on that. They settle. She says, look, I just made enough money to send my kids to college, right? Well, when the guy who stole your idea is worth $50 million at this point, anyway. So part of it goes, it's fine, we'll settle. You're not allowed selling your dolls anymore, though. So, because if you do, we're going to sue you because it's our dolls, right?
Yeah.
But anyway, she then finds a loophole. So she now goes sells doll making kits. So you can now go and buy all the bits to make your own doll. So she fucking got the Cabbage Patch Kids. But anyway, that is the story behind the Cabbage Patch Kids. It's going to be told in the documentary. I forget the name of it, but there is one coming out. And Innocence Lost, Dori, what do you think?
I mean, thanks for ruining my childhood again. But is this like a Netflix documentary type vibe? Or
it's going to be on one of the big streamers. Going to be on one of the big ones.
Okay. I'll watch it. I mean, it's actually a really sad but interesting story.
Yeah. She passed away in 2013, and they put all her dolls.
That's what I was going to ask. I was going to say, is this woman still around?
Yeah, she passed away, and they had all the dolls and the pride of place at her funeral.
But she got some money, right?
she did get some money. The documentary is called $1 Billion Babies. It's the true story of the Cabbage Patch Kids. It's actually out already. So maybe look for that. It's called $1 Billion Babies.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's actually out already. You can find that out.
You know what platform? Not yet.
You'll find it, Dori. You're an adult. You know how to use the internet. You know what I mean? Do you know how to use the internet? Do you know? Yeah, okay. You get what I'm saying. If you're an adult and you go on your streams and it's not there, you know how to use the internet. Okay, adults.
Got it.
You know what to Google. I now wonder, like, listen, I mean, I really do feel sorry for this lady because she just got done in by big corporates, and fuck big corporates, you know? And
so hang on, is he still around?
Is he still around? We're going to quickly find that out. A young Xavier with his name on people's bums. Thanks,
Because
Dori.
I doubt
I have to
it.
Google
He doesn't
it.
look that young in that picture.
Dori, he actually is still around, 67 years old. So stop age shaming him, Dori.
Well, also, you know, billionaires do tend to live long. They get to like drink the blood of virgins and shit. So
especially like that Brian Johnson guy.
Yes. Vampire Dad.
I don't even want to talk about that guy. Go Google him. You know, Dori, I think you made an assumption about Xavier Roberts. Like I made an assumption about because he wants his names on baby dolls' bums. But because
exactly.
Because he wears a cowboy hat, you just assume that he's from Cowboy Day times. Did you do that?
I did.
You did.
I did. I imagined him on his horse in the 1800s.
Exactly. You made a cowboy-based assumption. And that's just poor. That's just poor for all of us, Dori. So that is $1 Billion Baby. We've got to check that out. Maybe we've got to find it, talk about it in the shows coming up. But I'm so distracted like this week. So distracted. Legal stuff. We've got to find legal stuff about Cabbage Patch Kids. I find a blog, Dori. The Dolph Forum. It's the Dolph Ultimate Guide. Dolph Lundgren message board. Anything you've ever wanted to know about Dolph Lundgren is on this message board.
Oh, my God.
What are we talking about? Why does this exist? The internet's a fantastic place.
Is there a whole thread just about the nipples?
Dori, the whole thing is about his nipples. His nipples are in the masthead. Okay? So how do I stumble across a Dolph Lundgren forum, blog? What am I doing? It's not even a Reddit. It's not even a subreddit. It is just an
Is it a Google alert?
It's one of those, Dori. It finds me, as you know. But why it finds me? Because it puts a lot of things together. Dolph Lundgren, Masters of the Universe 2. Right? Remember, one of the greatest movies, Masters of the Universe. People hating on it. I did not hate on it at the time. I was just enamored. I just had to see Dolph Lundgren. I had to see He-Man in real life. I got to see Skeletor in real life. Frank Langella with just one of the most menacing performances. He went full into it. I don't know if you've watched Masters of the Universe, like even recently.
I have, when I was 13 or whatever. Yeah.
So I watched it about
since then.
2 months ago. It was on Amazon Prime. I watched it about 2 months ago. And Frank Langella as Skeletor. Like, the whole movie is stupid. Like, let's be honest. It's based on an action figure. It is so dumb. They had to, like, change a lot of the He-Man lore because just it wasn't practical to film. Canon films, they didn't have budget. They had to set pretty much all of it on Earth because of budgets. Frank Langella goes, you know what? I am a fucking generational actor. And I'm wearing a skeleton mask. But fuck me if I'm not going to go balls in on this. He throws himself at the role. He's like, I love Skeletor more than I love He-Man, but Frank Langella is phenomenal as Skeletor in this. So a young Courtney Cox pops up. Fun fact, you know?
Okay.
She first starts dancing with Bruce Springsteen. Bruce Springsteen. Then she's on He-Man. Fantastic. Living in a Cardboard Box. That song is in the movie. Fantastic.
Jeez, I don't remember. I remember enjoying the movie. I remember nothing else.
Exactly.
But I was always more of a Skeletor fan myself.
I mean, you know, and Skeletor's having his heyday now. So at the end of it, maybe just to me. He's just having his heyday to me.
Right.
So in a post-credit scene, you know, which I assume the Master of the Universe movie invented, at the end, Skeletor emerges and goes, I'll be back. Of course, I'll be back. That's what people are saying in the 80s. And you go, they got to make a sequel. You've got to make a sequel to a fucking He-Man movie. You've got to make a sequel, right? There's so many toys to sell. But they never made another He-Man movie. But they were going to, Dori. And this is what I found out on the Dolph Lundgren blog. Okay. So everything was set up to make Masters of the Universe 2. They had the script. They were going to do it. And what they were going to do at the same time is they were going to shoot a Spider-Man movie. Now, let me tell you about that Spider-Man movie. Michael Jackson owned the rights to that to Spider-Man movie at that time. Michael Jackson owned the Spider-Man film rights. He actually requested that he play Spider-Man. Well, you can't get the rights. Dori, I'm not making this shit up.
Okay. I mean, he could have played Spider-Man today.
Explain yourself, Dori. Explain yourself. I really want to see where this thought process goes.
I'm saying that in the 80s, there was no black Spider-Man because it was the 80s.
Okay.
But now, there's a black Spider-Man. And it's awesome.
Okay. Okay. Technically, don't want to be a nerd. He's not Spider-Man. He's Miles Morales. It's a thing. I get what you're saying. Okay.
Still Spider-Man.
It's Spider-Verse, but I get what you're saying. I'm with you, right? So, but anyway, so they go, okay. So Michael Jackson, thank you. We'll pass. Great. You do the beat it thing. We'll do Spider-Man. So the plan was they were going to shoot Master of the Universe 2 and Spider-Man together. Okay? So they were going to start shooting Spider-Man, but the story of Spider-Man is that they needed the lead actor, not named, not Michael Jackson, to then take 6 months off to bulk up, right? Because you're going to start as a skinny kid and then he's going to bulk up. In those 6 months, they were going to shoot Masters of the Universe. Okay? They'd set it up. They go, we're going to do this. Because this was now Galoob. Well, it wasn't Galoob. It was also one of the straight-to-video production companies at the time that was just like run and gun, shoot things quick, cheap, straight-to-video, right? So this is what they were going to do. But of course, now they run out of budget. The Spider-Man, there's a whole thing with the rights of the Spider-Man movie. They spend $2 million on sets, and the whole thing just starts unraveling, just starts falling apart. The Canon Films, which is financing it, held the rights. They made their money. You got to watch. You got to find the documentary about Canon Films. Fantastic. There are rumors that they were funded by terrorists, but they also were.
What?
They were also funded by the junk bond market in the 80s, which collapsed. So the whole everything falls out of them. They lose all their money. Fuck, we can't make Spider-Man. We can't make Master of the Universe. Mattel are having their own shit. They got to pull their funding. The whole thing's a mess. They go, well, we got the sets. We've shot a lot of stuff. Let's make another movie. Let's just roll with it. Like, we're not going to burn everything. What are you talking about? Straight to video. So they make a movie. They do make a sequel called Cyborg 2. Dori, the iconic, not Cyborg 2. I'm lying, not a sequel. The iconic movie Cyborg with Jean-Claude Van Damme uses the props and sets from the failed or abandoned Master of the Universe movie.
Yeah. Okay, I don't know Cyborg, but that's crazy.
If you know Cyborg, it is one of the 80s movies. I mean, Jean-Claude Van Damme comes off Bloodsport, right? He is star deluxe. Put him in Cyborg. They wanted Chuck Norris, couldn't get him. They get him. No one understands what Chuck Norris is saying. They got to rewrite the whole script, everything. But in some way, Cyborg, now I know, I'm going to go rewatch Cyborg because I go, that is the spirit animal. That is the stepchild of Master of the Universe 2. And I'm going to imagine we deep fake it. Deep fake Dolph Lundgren onto Jean-Claude Van Damme's body.
Okay. But here's the question. Why did it not happen? Because what was the first one not successful enough? Like, was it not going to be a financial success?
Masters of
do the sequel?
Masters of the Universe.
Yeah.
No, but that's why they did it. But you see now, the whole thing was complicated. Listen, there's a whole story about Marvel in the 80s, what they had to do. They sold off all their film rights because they were sinking ship. They never thought anyone would want to see. This is foresight, Dori. So Marvel won a lot of shit in the 80s, right? What they did is they sold off all their film rights because they were like, Nobody is going to watch superhero movies. Nobody. Okay. Nobody will watch that. So they sold off all their film rights in the 80s to raise money. Okay. So they were in a lot of shit. Marvel, Mattel, who now Mattel own He-Man, right? And they were funding the movie. They also hit into some shit, right? Okay. And they were like, no, look, we can't keep throwing money at this thing. The whole thing's a mess. You guys have made a complication here. You're trying to shoot 2 movies at once. We want out. At this time, He-Man is flagging. You know, we're talking about later 80s. Ninja Turtles start popping up. You got He-Man set up this action figure with a Saturday morning cartoon craze. And now everyone's just Thundercats are doing it. Ninja Turtles are doing it. Power Rangers.
So they obviously thought it's too risky.
Yeah, they were just like, yeah, this thing's a mess. This thing's a mess. The production company, Canon Films, you got the rights to He-Man. You're falling apart. We're out. We're done. So there was an appetite. Because it's always bothered me, because exactly your point. Why wouldn't they make a sequel? Like, at least have a shot at it, you know?
Yeah.
And that's the reason. Now we know. And since they have never remade a live-action He-Man. There was one in the works, got cancelled. They do a lot of animated stuff. I just want to see Dolph Lundgren again. I just want to see his nipples. This is what it's all about. There's no...
It always comes down to that.
It always comes down to that. I honestly just heard in your mind, you saying it all comes down to milking that. So I don't know.
Does Jean-Claude Van Damme not have good enough nipples?
No, I mean, I didn't wake up this morning and expect to be having a conversation comparing.
To be asked that question.
Yeah.
You did not prepare to answer that question.
It's not something I don't think about. Let's clear that up. But it's not something I expected to be confronted with. So you know what, Dori, I'll take some time. In football,
do some research.
Yeah, in American football, they say I'll take a knee. There's a bit of a timeout. I'm going to reassess my options, go to bench, look at my playbook, and then I'll come back with an answer that will not incriminate me, because I don't want to be fighting with Jean-Claude Van Damme. You know, okay, because he's that combination of very strong and very unhinged. So I do not want to be there. Even old man Jean-Claude Van Damme he will knock my soul out my body. My soul will leave. That's what will happen. So, believe it or not, on that 80 show, we haven't even got to our movie recommendation feature each week. We go back to the 80s. Each one of us talks about a film, a TV show, a something, and not always from the 80s, set in the 80s, based on the 80s, starring someone from the 80s. It's very loose. It's very loose, the rules of our movie portion. It's our rules.
We make the rules.
Our show, and you know what? Award-winning show, award-nominated show. I think we're doing something right. So, Dori, you always up first. What do you have in our little viewing recommendation corner?
Well, Paulo, as I told you already, this week I do not have a movie or a TV series, but I have something that I feel I need to share because you're gonna be hooked. You're gonna be amazed at what I'm going to tell you. Once before on this show, I have spoken about a podcast series. That was the Chip and Dale story, remember?
Correct, yeah.
Yes. That was an amazing story. But it had nothing on the story I'm going to share today.
Oh, boy. What is waiting for me?
I'm not going to say another word. I want you to first play the trailer.
The seaside town of Amble is cold, grey and run down. So when a wild dolphin appears, it's the miracle everyone's been waiting for.
Breakfast time, dinner time, evening meal time, and in the pub. Freddy, Freddy, Freddy.
Some believe Freddy has healing powers, others that he's an alien. Everyone wants to swim with him. But Freddy chooses one person above all others.
It was brilliant. He just came up alongside me and he was just banging into me and, hello, I'm Freddy, the famous dolphin. Who the hell are you?
Alan Cooper, a passionate animal rights activist who loves swimming with Freddy.
It was just out of this world, Little did I know what was going to develop.
But one day, Alan is accused of taking things way, way too far.
Someone put a newspaper under my nose saying, "Have you seen this?"
A tabloid scandal leads to a court battle that grips the whole country.
That Alan Cooper committed an act of a lewd, obscene and disgusting nature and outraged public decency by behaving in an indecent manner with a bottlenose dolphin.
It's the most extraordinary case I've ever dealt with.
It's the fight of Alan's life, and it will change him forever.
The prosecution's view is that there is only one verdict you can deliver.
The truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth.
Another thing you were not prepared for when you woke up this morning.
No, not at all. Dori, explain.
I don't even know how I discovered this podcast. Probably from an ad that I heard. Look, Wondery does amazing stuff. We know this. So I'm always willing to give their shows a try. It's a true story that starts in 1987, which is why I'm talking about it. The majority of the end of the story happens in the early 90s, but the story starts in 1987. Therefore, I am sharing it with you. I have never heard the story before. It is the craziest thing I've ever listened to. It's brilliantly done. It is a brilliantly produced podcast. In a nutshell, I mean, you heard it. It's a story of a dolphin that pitches up at this small town in the UK, like kind of swimming off the coast. Everyone goes mad. And then there's this guy, Alan, who he's a serious animal activist. He's a vegan. He's one of those people who's like protesting at labs and getting arrested for protesting against animal vivisection and all that kind of stuff. Remember, that was really big in the 80s as well, was like protesting for animal rights. And, yeah, so he's one of these guys, and he didn't even live near this town. He drove quite far to get to this town because he was like, oh my God, I've always wanted to swim with a wild dolphin. Of course, he would never want to do this with a dolphin that's kept in captivity. So the opportunity to like swim with a wild dolphin, he drove all the way there, a few hours away, to go and swim with this dolphin, and this dolphin just took a liking to him and really enjoyed swimming with him. And then what happened, it's a bit of a complicated story, but so there was a dolphinarium nearby. Did you ever go to the dolphinarium when you were a kid? There used to be one in Durban. There is now Ushaka,
yes,
which is not quite the same. Like I remember going to the one in Durban as a kid, and this was also like in the 80s. It was, and they would do these tricks. They would do shows, and they would like literally like circus trained dolphins. And I mean, I loved it as a kid. In retrospect, it's, too circusy, too cruel. Don't make the dolphins do this. Let them swim free in the sea. So he was like really opposed to this as well. And dolphinariums were big in the UK. There were a few of them. And him and his protest buddies were on a mission to get them shut down and the dolphins released into the wild. And then there was one near this town where Freddie was swimming. And he went there and he spoke to the guy who was in charge of the dolphins there. And he was like, what you're doing is wrong. You need to let these dolphins go. And these two kind of got a little bit of there was a little bit of a rivalry between the two of them. And then what happened was one day, Alan was in the sea swimming with Freddie out quite far, just the two of them. And then this boat comes along and there's a bunch of people on the boat. And it was the guy from the dolphinarium who had brought these people to see Freddie, the dolphin. And what is alleged, but I'm not going to say what comes out in the end of the podcast because you actually have to listen to it. What is alleged is that he said to the people on the boat, oh my God, he's wanking off the dolphin. Okay. You with me still?
Okay. Dolphin's a mammal. Okay, let me just come back on that. Okay, cool.
Okay. But there's a few things that I learned in the process of listening to this podcast about dolphins that I never needed to know, honestly. Here's one of the spoilers. It's a little bit of a spoiler, but I'm going to share it. The title is genius, Hooked on Freddie, because everyone was crazy about Freddie. They were madly in love with Freddie. There is a literal scientific term called hooking that dolphins do. It's a thing they do with their penis. A dolphin's penis according to what I've learned, is not only a sexual organ. It uses its penis to explore its surroundings. Like we would use our hands, it uses its penis. And what it does is it hooks its penis around things. So this is what it was doing. And the woman who actually created the podcast, wait.
Okay.
Okay. The woman who created the podcast literally went to swim with Freddie and it happened to her. She explains it in the podcast. She describes it happening. Okay. Things you never knew about dolphins. Paulo, I'm going to say to you, what's the most interesting fact you've learned on the show today? This will be it. Okay.
Dolphin hookers. I did not expect that to come up today.
Never, right?
Wow.
This is what I love about surprising you with these wonderful things that I've discovered.
Hence called Hooked on Freddy. I get it.
Hooked on Freddy, exactly.
I get it. No, is it in any way related to the movie Freddy Got Fingered? Is that? No. Okay.
But yeah, so it's a crazy true story. And look, it's only 6 episodes long. I recommend you listening to it because it has so many twists and turns, the story. It's so compelling. It's crazy. And this is a real thing that happened in the UK in the late 80s. It's nuts. Just nuts. No pun intended. I don't think dolphins have balls. They have a penis, though.
Maybe they have it
definitely
inside.
Have a penis.
Wow.
Would you like to see what a dolphin penis looks like?
You know what? I got a feeling it's one of those things that I have seen because I do delve into the darker parts of the internet from time to time. But wow, Dori, that is, I mean, I don't know what to say. It's a podcast now you can find on Wondery, right?
Yes, you can find it anywhere. And all 6 episodes are out. So
obviously the guy is like protesting his innocence.
Yeah.
Man, that is.
I'm gonna just for fun, I'm going to just put a little link in our notes there for you, so that you can just have a glimpse.
Now, at the beginning of the show, we said everything we talk on the show can be found on that 80s show. It's their Facebook page. This won't. So
it will. It will. What I'll do is
it's from a scientific. It's scientific.
It's a scientific article. I will put the link to it in the comment on the post about the podcast.
Well, Dori, that thing just looks like Thanos' finger. I honestly don't know.
I mean, another fact that I learned from this podcast is dolphins' penises are pretty much always erect, but they don't always show them to you. Sometimes they hide it.
Oh, because they're shy. Dolphins are shy, Dori.
Shy. Paulo, have you ever heard that fact about how dolphins are rapey?
I have heard that.
This makes so much sense.
So, there's a whole industry. There's a whole industry based on how lovely dolphins are. How many people who smell like potpourri and you walk into their office, there's some sort of dolphin fucking inspirational picture up on their wall.
Exactly.
No willy. They have not freed their willy. Maybe I'm crossing species here. But there are children T-shirts with dolphins on them. There are cakes with dolphins on them. There are air fresheners, dolphin-shaped.
Yes. All those images had to have the penis photoshopped out. All of them. Or it's female dolphins.
Oh, listen. What you've told me now, I don't even trust the female dolphins. Because if you got a hook, there's got to be something to hook into. Dude,
on that exact page that I sent you, there is a picture of what a female dolphin's vagina looks like.
Do you know, right now, I'm recording at the studio. There are people knocking on the door here because I think I've contravened some firewall policy here at the office. There is some shit going on. I think I'm about to be kicked off the internet. This is unreal, Dori, and I don't thank you for it.
I'm sure you don't.
I will be listening to the podcast, Hooked on Freddy.
It's brilliantly made. It's a brilliant podcast. It's so, the woman who's done it, even though it is actually a serious story, but you can hear that she's like, there's no ways I can tell this story seriously. She's constantly making jokes. She's hilarious. Like, it's very funny.
I feel that you really explored the limits of our 80s related viewing recommendation barriers, just to get in just to tell me about a dolphin's willy. I feel that's
totally.
So, totally. Thank you, Dori. Thank you for that. And you know what? Different, because it's 80s podcast. 80s related podcast. Very related 80s podcast.
Have I hooked you in?
Oh, Dori, you're fired. Thank you for joining me. This has been that 80s show.
No, I want to hear your movie.
No, of course, I would not do that. So my movie, I decided, it's quite apt because we're in Halloween season. So I thought I'm going to bring you a Halloweeny scary movie. I did not realize that you would be the one with the body horror movie, the body horror recommendation. So
indeed.
But here's the thing, right? So everyone knows I love a shit movie, right? But I have a thing when you're now choosing a horror movie from the 80s, there's two things, right? You're either going to get one of the classics like Friday the 13th, Nightmare on Elm Street, Halloween, right? We've been there, done that, right? Or you're going to go to the really schlocky B, C grade movie, the body horror stuff. Right, which is like just
melt movies,
which I'm like, I don't, as much as I love shitty movies, I'm not a fan of shitty horror movies. I don't know why. So like Killer Clowns from Outer Space and Attack of the Killer Tomatoes, like I like that because they're just absurd. So I was like, I'm in a conundrum, but I did find one. I got two Halloween movies. One this week and one next, but my Halloween movie this week is so interesting. So it's a combination. It got the one review I read of it. I watched this movie. You can find it on YouTube. The one review I read of it was say, imagine you took, what would be the movie then? You took Porky's and Kiss of a Vampire and put them in a blender. This is the movie you would get, right?
Okay.
It's a movie called Once Bitten, a vampire movie. Now, vampire movies...
I remember this movie.
Oh, good. I'm glad. Because I think not a lot of people know about it. You remember it. Who is the main star, Dori, in his first movie role?
Oh my God, that I don't remember. I'm seeing in my vague memory in my brain the cover in the video shop.
No,
red and white.
There were multiple.
Blood.
There were multiple,
okay.
But the main actor on that cover was a very, very young Jim Carrey. His first American movie. He had been in some stuff in Canada before, but no one counts.
Okay.
No, counts Canada.
So this was before Ace Ventura, which I thought was his first big movie.
No, this was his first movie. So he was just breaking through. Okay. Fun fact that I found out this morning, Rodney Dangerfield actually gave Jim Carrey his first big stand-up break. He saw this kid and goes, this guy's got it, and put him on his comedy club, took him on tour with him, made him part of his Vegas residency opening act. So Jim Carrey, very young, stars in this movie called Once Bitten. They actually wanted Michael J. Fox for the role, but they just felt that now Michael J. Fox was only a TV guy there, and they felt he didn't have the charisma to carry off a big budget movie. Who's this guy?
Was this before Back to the Future by any chance?
So it was just before, but Michael J. Fox in that same year made Teen Wolf. So quite weird. He turns down a vampire, or he gets turned down for a vampire movie, makes Teen Wolf, and a year later he's in Back to the Future. So kind of egg on their face. But anyway.
Yeah.
So this movie, Once Bitten, this is where the Porky's bit comes in, right? So Jim Carrey plays this high school kid, and he's still a virgin, and everything he's doing, he's trying to get into his girlfriend's pants. He just wants to lose his virginity.
Like every other 80s high school movie. That is the main theme.
That's it. So him and his friends decide, you know what? She keeps turning him down. He goes, fuck it. I'm going out. I'm going to get laid. I don't really care. I'm done with being a virgin. And he drives an ice cream van, right? That's his job.
Oh, God.
So they're going out in Hollywood. Hollywood's like a very weird place. There's like women walking lines in the streets, very strange version of Hollywood. They go to this club. He's super nervous. It's a grown-up club. He's a high school kid. And he meets this woman who is way, 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 way out of his league. Beautiful woman. But I got to say, like 80s sleek, like, you know, when you think of sleekness in the 80s, it's the big fucking collars and the shoulder pads, whatever. Yeah. No, this woman is sleek 80s couture. Her name's the Countess, right? But she's actually a vampire, a 400-year-old vampire. And
the name didn't give it away?
No. Well, she's a countess, not the countess. She's a countess.
I thought that was her name.
Yeah, that's how she gets introduced. And she's a vampire, a vampiress. Vampire? Do we care? She's a vampire. And to keep young, she has to drink the blood of a virgin 3 times before Halloween every year. So every year she got to find a virgin, drink his blood, and then she stays young for another year. And now it's getting close.
And I bet you they make the joke about how it's really hard to find a virgin in California or something like that.
1 bazillion% is that joke made by her outrageously camp butler. Okay, she's got this butler. He is phenomenal. He was in Blazing Saddles. He's so good. He's just outstanding. He's got all the lines. He's got all the quips. He actually says that line. So she now finds Jim Carrey, and now company says, "Come, you're coming back to my house. This is on." And Jim Carrey's like, "Holy shit, I can't believe this." So off they go. She's got an amazing 80s house. I mean, you and I are always on the lookout for amazing 80s houses. She's got a phenomenal, and because you think a vampire is going to stay, in a dingy place. This is marble. It's columns.
Well, she's had hundreds of years to make money. So,
compound interest. I mean, you're talking 400 years of compound interest. I mean, that's good. That's good. So now they get it on, but something happens. He can't quite complete the act. She doesn't necessarily completely devour him, but she does bite him, right?
Right.
He wakes up the next morning thinking they've had sex, but she's like, "Oh, shit, I only got to drink his blood once. I got to drink it 3 times. But what happens now, he's been bitten. He starts transforming into a vampire just bit by bit. So the first thing is, starts wearing dark clothes, okay? So wearing black. He finds the sun a bit too bright, even opens the fridge. Shit, the light in the fridge is a bit bright.
This is very Vampire's Kiss.
Oh, totally. So she's now pursuing him because she's like, "I got to drink his blood 3 times or I'm going to die." His girlfriend now comes back into the scene and she's like, "What the fuck's wrong with you? Like, you're acting really weird, but maybe we're going to do the sex, right?" So now he's like,
"Okay.
Oh shit. Like, okay." His girlfriend, now normally in the 80s, the sexual conquest, the girlfriend is just there to see her boobs and just be a sexual conquest, right? We never explore female characters in movies like this. His girlfriend is actually phenomenal. She's super strong. She's super independent. She doesn't take any shit. Like, so counter to the majority of female characters in a movie. We don't even see her boobs. We don't even see her boobs once.
Oh, my God.
No, we don't even see them once, right?
What the hell?
Yeah.
Right.
So she now finds out that there's this countess pursuing her boyfriend. She's like, "Fuck this. I'm going to take her on." So she's like sassy, gives the woman shit, like, "He's mine, you fuck off" type of thing. And it's just a series of now the countess trying to suck his blood, I won't go there. The countess trying to suck his blood, the girlfriend fending her off, and just a whole bunch of shenanigan type scenes.
Can I ask a potentially stupid question? Is the girlfriend also not a virgin?
She is a virgin, but that's never really... Because then you'd think, oh, well...
I mean, why is this countess so picky?
Yeah, because...
Like, just drink the girlfriend's blood. Then.
Exactly. You'd think that. But let's... Dori, Porkies. Just remember, this is the Porkies element.
Okay, Porkies. Sorry, Porkies.
Right? Because if we're more serious, maybe that's a thing now. No, but this is the Porkies element. So now, it all culminates in the high school Halloween dance, right? Mm-hmm. Where now Jim Carrey... Now, he's fully now pretty much vampire now. Because I think he gets bitten a second time. He's fully vampire now. And there's, he's all goth. The girlfriend's now dressed as Little Red Riding Hood, and the countess arrives at the dance. the dance-off scene between the Countess and the girlfriend and Jim Carrey used as a prop. Now remember, this is young Jim Carrey. I actually liked him so much in this movie because he's not annoying Ace Ventura Jim Carrey. He's like, he hasn't gone into that shtick where he goes, oh, this is my shtick. He's kind of figuring it out, but
just a normal guy.
Yeah, he's so charming, and he does all the Jim Carrey stuff without the stuff going, but I know I'm Jim Carrey. You know what I mean?
Yes.
And so he's actually so good in this. So you get all that weird Jim Carreyism without the annoying stuff. And the dance-off scene between the Countess and the girlfriend is so good. It's just really, really good. It's their battle for him. But now everybody goes off to the Countess's house for one final moment because she gets Jim Carrey to follow her. So now the girlfriend, his boob friends who are just there for like comic relief, now they're going to go rescue him. Girlfriend says, I'm going to go take on this vampire. All her manservants, they go into the house. She just gets Jim Carrey out, and he's like bewildered. He's like, oh, you know, and she's like, the Countess wants to bite him. They end up in the Countess's room where all her coffins are that she sleeps in. But glam 80s coffins, right? Lined with pink fur. Fantastic.
Yeah.
They're being hunted down. They jump in the coffin. Girlfriend goes, there's only one way I'm going to break this spell. Right? Because Dori, let's put it together, right? Now, this is the Porky's element. If there is a vampire who wants to eat your blood or eat you, devour you, because you're a virgin, what?
You have to have sex.
Right. You are you are a veteran of 80s movies. So,
indeed.
In the coffin, they have sex. He's no longer a virgin, spell broken. The Countess now ages. Now you'd think she's aged 400 years. She's going to puff into smoke. No, she just turns into like an old lady. And now shenanigans. Now we got to go find another virgin. And that's where they make the joke. You're not going to find a virgin in California. Jim Carrey and his girlfriend go back into the coffin, close the lid, have sex, fade out. That is the movie Once Bitten.
Excellent.
And I would recommend, I'm going to tell you something. Firstly, there's a fantastic 80s song in there called Once Bitten by a band called 3 Speed. Me neither.
Wow.
Me neither.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay.
Is this movie available on the internet? Wink, wink.
On YouTube. You can find
on
it
YouTube.
On YouTube. It is on there.
Oh, guess what I'm watching tonight?
Dori, I'd recommend you watch it. It is actually really good.
I'm so watching it. I'm so watching it because I don't know if, I might have seen it. I remember seeing the video in the video shop. I probably saw it, but I don't remember it.
Yeah, no, it's actually so good. Like I say, Jim Carrey, you can see this guy's going to be star. You're like, this guy's he's just got it.
So have you watched this movie long ago in the 80s or only now?
The past 2 weeks. I may have watched it in the 80s. I don't remember. I don't think I would have. But I did watch it. But I don't remember watching it.
Something tells me it was too age restricted for us to watch it in the 80s.
Very much.
I know that we're not the same age, but I think we were too young.
Listen, back in the 80s, South Africa, we had 2 to 21. There were certain movies you couldn't watch. You could not watch a movie until you're 22 years old.
Right?
I never get over that.
Imagine.
Never get over that. So you'll love it. And listen, the lady Laura Hutton who plays the Countess and Jim Carrey's girlfriend are both beautiful. They are actually like just good, fun, silly. It's just a fun 80s movie. It's all the good stuff of the 80s movie. And only like slight casual racism and very overt sexism. So that's, you know.
Okay.
That fits nicely.
No, that's a good recommendation. I'm impressed. I'm very impressed.
Thank you, Dori. Thank you. Vampires and dolphin penises. Also soon to be the title of this week's show.
Wow.
So, Dori, I want to jump into something just before we go of the definitive voice of the 80s, okay? The Saturday Evening Post, I find this, of where they went, who was the actual voice of the 80s, music-wise, right? Because you think Michael Jackson, Madonna, or could it have been somebody else, right?
Okay,
go with me on this. It's a lot of mental gymnastics. These people at the Saturday Evening Post have done, this is a thesis on 80s. This should be put in a museum. Anybody who wants to talk about the 80s has to study this first, okay? This is so concise what they've done here. So they wanted to find out who was the voice, the song child of their generation, right?
Okay.
So are
we talking about contents of lyrics? Are we talking about the actual voice? What are we talking about?
Okay. This is what they did. They went to the Billboard Top 40 chart and they looked at every band who had a major song on the top 40, right?
See, you're obsessed with hooks now. Yeah.
You see, that's what I'm saying. Okay. And they said, right, everybody you had to have a minimum of 15 top 40 hits between 1980 and 1989. So no one-hit wonders, right? You had to have a minimum of 15 hits, right? Over the 10 years. So they kind of like level out, but they go, okay, starting at these artists who had 10 top 40 hits in the 80s, okay? So they kind of, they just put there as a, just fun facts. And Janet Jackson actually falls in there. You think Janet Jackson was big, but she only had 10. And there's other people like Michael McDonald, Christopher Cross, Juice Newton, David Bowie, Steve Winwood, Foreigner.
David Bowie didn't have more?
80s. He had way more, yeah. Because also Aretha Franklin, Neil Diamond, they were kind of more 70s. And Def Leppard and Bon Jovi only had 9. So they're kind of like, okay. So then they go, okay, the people who had 10 to 14 hits.
Okay.
10 to 14 hits on the top 40. Not number ones, just top 40. And now we're talking Kim Kearns, Heart, Eurythmics, Belinda Carlisle, Paul McCartney, Cyndi Lauper, Whitney Houston, and even Ray Parker Jr., okay?
Jeez, I didn't realize he had more than one hit.
He had Ray Parker. Exactly. That surprised me. Then we got people with 11 hits. Now we're talking Olivia Newton-John, Bob Seger, Air Supply, Gloria Estefan, Culture Club, The Cars, Billy Ocean. Okay?
Okay.
So now it's starting to get serious. We're trying to discover they're using... So that's kind of like... they're eliminated, but it's just worth saying because some big names in there. So now they're going, these are the people now in the running. So 15 top 40 hits. Now you're talking Pat Benatar, Bruce Springsteen, Stevie Wonder, and Mick Jagger. Okay, Peter Cetera's in there as well.
Okay.
Right? And then they also like eliminated people like, so now you're starting to get Do You Know It's Christmas? And they said, okay, well, we can't keep those people, so we take those out. Right? I'm saying.
Okay, yeah.
Thesis. People with 16 hits, top 40 hits. Rick Springfield. Okay.
Wow.
All right. Rick Springfield with 16 top 40 hits in the 80s. Huey Lewis in the News. And David Lee Roth, Cool in the Gang. Okay.
Okay.
17 now gets hectic. John Cougar Mellencamp. Right.
Okay.
So he's there at number 17. He's the only person with 17 hits. He's the only one.
Mm-hmm.
At 18 is Lionel Richie. Okay.
Yes.
19 hits in the 80s. Okay. Madonna, of course.
Yes.
Steve Perry / Journey. Right?
Okay.
So Steve Perry, think about that. Just think about that for a second. Madonna had 19 top 40 hits and Steve Perry had the same. You know?
Yeah.
And of course.
I don't think he was that big here, though.
No.
I remember a few songs, but not that many.
Weird. 20 is Sheena Easton and Prince. All right? No, sorry, I lied. Prince gets his 20 because of songs he wrote. Right, so not just only his own songs, they also put him in there for songs that he wrote for. Billy Joel, 21 top 40 hits.
Sure.
Elton John had 22. Right.
Okay, sounds right.
Okay. Tied at 24 is Hall & Oates.
Wow.
All right.
Okay.
And
but they tied, or who they tied with?
So tied at 24 is Hall & Oates. Okay.
Okay. Like separately and together.
So it says Hall & Oates posted 21 hits of their own before their mid-decade hiatus. They scored a hit with a crossover team-up with Eddie Kendrick and David Rufflin of The Temptations. And then Hall also had time to land a solo hit with his track Dreamtime.
Oh, I love that song. I remember that. Okay. Yeah.
24 hits. Hall & Oates tied with Michael Jackson. That's wild.
Holy moly.
Right. That's wild. That's wild. Okay, that Hall & Oates. Not that Michael Jackson, but Hall & Oates.
Is that the most? Is that the winner?
No.
Oh, okay.
So what they're looking for here is who was the voice of the 80s, right?
Right.
So we've gone through. So what they did, you had to have to qualify 15 top 40 hits in the 80s, right? We've heard Madonna. We've heard Prince. We've heard Lionel Richie. We've heard Cyndi Lauper. You would have thought it was Michael Jackson.
Yes. Or Michael, yeah, probably.
That he would have been.
I mean, Bruce Springsteen was huge. I would have maybe thought him.
Sting and the Police, they're not there. No, not even close.
Oh my God, you haven't even mentioned them. Oh wait, are they the winners?
No,
they can't be.
Sting was.
That's also a lot of 70s.
Sting was in there. Sting had 15. Sting was 15.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay, I missed that.
With 25 top 40 hits, both as a solo and a band, Phil Collins.
That's actually great because he also has such a unique voice.
Exactly.
So that's a great winner.
Exactly. And they say...
I'm happy with this. I am happy with this decision.
He could have got 26 if they hadn't taken out Do They Know It's Christmas, because obviously he played drums in that.
Yes, of course.
Yeah. So both as a solo artist and as part of Genesis, he had 25 top 40 hits in the 80s. So Phil Collins was the voice of the 80s. It's science. It is absolute science, Dori.
Very cool. Very cool.
That is
very
cool. That is great. That is scientific.
George Michael would have come to mind as well, but he was more 90s with his solo stuff.
He was, and I think if you do one in the 90s, then you're going to see, okay, you'll probably that change. I'm surprised at like Whitney Houston, but I suppose it's just that, the thing about Wham is that they burnt very brightly and very quickly.
And as we have discovered, don't have that many songs.
Exactly. All their songs are hits.
Yeah.
But
yes.
Yeah. So that is very scientific. I enjoyed doing that. I was worried how to come across because a lot of numbers just baffle my mind.
No, that was fun. That was exciting.
Steve Perry matching up with Madonna, Hall & Oates matching up with Michael Jackson. You heard it here on That 80s Show. It's Billboard News.
Crazy.
So thank you for joining me, Dori. This has been That 80s Show. Everything, like we said, that you want to find, we spoke about on that show. You can find That 80s Show SA Facebook.
And some stuff you might not want to find.
NSFW, there will be a dolphin penis on the page of this week. Okay? There will be a dolphin penis. So just prepare for that. You got to be over 18 to be on Facebook anyway.
Everybody who listened to that podcast, it's the first thing they Googled. Do not even pretend.
Yeah. Yeah, even as we mentioned it, even as we started talking about it. So
exactly.
You're quite right, Dori. I found out this week that dolphins have got little hooks, and that if you are that way inclined, you can use it for your own pleasure. So just there's not much more they can say. Thanks for joining me, Dori.
We're done.
Goodbye.
Bye.